Hello and welcome to another edition of the C Squared podcast. This time it is Curtis and Holly, so it's actually technically the CH podcast coming to you. This time we have Alec from Ghostbound with us today. He's going to be coming on to discuss his recent extended play. His recent extended play that recently came out on vinyl, and we're also going to be talking about some other things. We're probably going to get really goofy. We're probably going to get really silly. That's okay. But you're going to want to listen to Ghostbound either way. And with that, I'm going to say thank you, Alec, for joining us.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're welcome. So basically, before I turn it over to Holly, very first question that we always ask everybody is, can you give a very brief nutshell version of who you are, what you do for anyone who's not familiar with you?
Certainly. My name is Alec. I am the end-level boss for Ghostbound. I basically do... It all begins and ends with me, but I'm by no means Billy Corgan. So it's essentially, I present most of the riffs and start most of the songs, but then we all kind of arrange everything together as a band. I am mostly, if I were to distill it down to its core property, I am the singer and guitarist.
The frontman. Cool.
Front
human. Cool. So before I give it over to Holly, I do have one quick follow-up to that. Can you kind of go over just a teeny bit on how long Ghostbound has been around for? Because I don't think you said that.
Yes. Well, for better or worse, Ghostbound has been around since my teen years, since I started writing music, since, 2003 in some form or another. Like it didn't really, I've been writing songs. I started writing songs for both the first record and the EP as early as 2003, even 2002 or thereabouts. And It wasn't until around 2014, 2015 that I finally was able to get people together in an effort to really kind of complete what would become our debut record. And as a band, as a full-fledged band, we started gathering musicians to play live and to release the record, I would say in late 2017. And by early 2018, we had a full lineup.
Nice. Cool. Now I'll let Holly talk.
Yeah, so I would like to ask you a philosophical question.
Certainly.
Because why not? What is your favorite road sign?
Favorite road sign?
Yeah.
Oh, that is tough. I don't drive because I live in New York City. So it's very rare that I find road signs. I like I like any road sign that is really confusing, that is kind of devoid of all meaning. Like there's no parking after 6 p.m. and then it says no parking from 1 to 5:45 or whatever.
Yeah.
or from the early morning to so basically there's no parking at all, but there are many different ways to say that information.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good answer.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis, what's yours? I don't know if I've ever asked you this.
I'm going to say dead end.
Nice.
Actually, I'll follow that one up. In my hometown in California, there was a part in Pebble Beach, California, where you're driving, and there's a giant sign that says "Hill." And for
really, just hill?
Laugh. It just said there's nothing to signify. I mean, obviously there's a hill coming up, but it just says "Hill," and it just makes me laugh every time.
That's fucking amazing.
It's really declarative.
So, what is Holly's favorite road sign then? Since me and Alec have both answered this question.
I like the falling rock sign.
Fair.
What's that Zach Galifianakis joke? That sign, "Slow children playing is so mean."
I've never heard that one.
It's really good. It's a great joke.
So back on topic. Now that we've all gone totally off the wall, Holly, you're so bad with this. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
Actually, I have a follow-up question, if I may, Holly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Alec, just with just back to, you were talking how you used to live in California. Why did you move from California to New York, out of curiosity?
Well, I am an actor. I moved to New York to attend theater school back
Oh, I
in
knew that.
2006.
I think I knew that.
Yeah, so yeah, I had no interest in going to LA because honestly, fuck that place. I can swear on here, right?
Yeah, of course, dude. Yeah, swear all you want.
Awesome. So I applied for what was basically a vocational school. I didn't have to do any other accredited activities. I could just apply and go straight there. And I moved here to attend theater school and to eventually live. And I've remained. I'll have been here 15 years on October 15th.
Interesting. Because I always thought that LA was the spot for actors, not.
I mean, I suppose if you're into, if you want to specifically do film,
Oh,
television,
I get it.
my interest was always in theater.
No, I understand.
For the longest time. And even now, New York, well, COVID notwithstanding, New York has kind of caught up to having a very thriving television and film scene as well. So it's kind of possible to do both.
Fair enough. No, I was trying to track with it, but now I got it. Now I'll let Holly get back to her questions.
Great.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of interested now then. Does any of your like theatrical stuff feed into your music work?
I would say, I mean, it would be like, not consciously, but because it's who I am, yes. Just because it's, it's very hard. It's very, while I'm not into musical theater, I basically only like Stephen Sondheim and that's it.
Okay.
But like, as far as like the ability to like connect truthfully to what I'm singing, then yes, most definitely. Like I would say, I probably have a leg up on a lot of people in terms of singing with feeling, just on account of the fact that I know those tricks, I know those techniques, for lack of a better term, and also just being comfortable on stage is a huge deal. Like it's really no effort for me whatsoever to just go out there and play and just throw myself around and dare to look silly, dare to look stupid. That's kind of half of what acting is just daring to look dumb. is like, and not really like having any concern over like how you're perceived while you're up there. So yeah, I think it's not consciously, but yeah, I would say it's definitely there.
I have a kind of a follow-up to that then. So, because I mean, the song titles and like even the names of the albums and stuff that you guys do, I mean, they aren't like, what's the right word I'm looking for? It isn't party music, for lack of a better.
No.
So, why did you kind of decide to write music that's like a little bit more on the serious side rather than, escapism? I mean, I guess all music is escapism, but I think,
yeah, in a manner of speaking. Well, I'm not a believer I'm not a believer in how am I going to put this? I'm not really a believer in casual listening. Passive listening. I feel like one should be actively engaged in the music that they're listening to. It's never been my aim to put on to write a record that you can just put on as background music while you're doing other things. And I feel like modern culture is kind of really geared towards that specifically.
Yep.
That's why Spotify is so insistent on shoving playlists down your throat.
Yep.
Is because the art of the full-length record has sort of gone by the wayside.
True.
In recent memory. So I'm kind of stubbornly holding on to this idea that a full-length record is an experience. And everything from the artwork to the font you're using, to the song titles, to especially the music, obviously, should kind of serve that vision.
Mm-hmm.
However that may take, whatever that may take. In the case of this new EP, it's, based quite heavily around aquatic, oceanic, maritime themes. And I wanted the entire thing to be self-contained. Whereas like I hate the idea of releasing a record that's nothing more than a collection of songs.
Interesting.
I feel like it's a very holistic approach to making music that is not necessarily dying, but is definitely rarer than it was before. So,
100.
And I will always, I will usually will never be caught dead listening to a playlist unless it's forced upon me.
Interesting. You know, I think, and I could be wrong, did you not say something similar to this at one point, Holly? And forgive my kids who just decided to go start yelling and screaming in the background. Did you not say something similar to this recently, Holly, or am I mistaken about the whole packaging? Am I crazy?
Potentially. I might have done. I mean, it's definitely something that I think about. You know, I mean, with Disconnected Souls, I consider the whole thing an experience. So it does bother me a little bit on Spotify when I know people are just listening to individual songs.
Yep.
And I just think like you're missing out on the big picture.
So, okay, so I got a follow up to this. So, Holly, I'm gonna let you ask again. I know I keep stealing all your questions. I'm sorry, blabbermouth. So, Alec, how do you do that then? Like, how do you make it to be a holistic experience then, without it being just a collection of songs? What's the trick?
Well, I wouldn't say there's a trick. There's nothing really arcane or you know, you just work hard at it. You know, it's like that's a good question, but it's simply being, it's like I have a concept in mind, and then I'll chill on a certain chord or chord structure, and sometimes usually I'll have some kind of effect on it, either chorus or delay or reverb or some combination thereof. Where I'll be thinking to myself, okay, this sounds like rolling waves to me, and let's see where this takes me. It's usually always based around some kind of image that I want to capture. Yeah. I know a lot of people say atmosphere is implied, pretty much for the most part with all music, but sometimes I'm not reminded of anything when I listen to certain bands. You know, sometimes it's just four dudes in a room, or you know, the mall, even worse, or something. And in my case, it's like I always wanted to be taken somewhere.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in terms of the escapist sense of the word, but I would like to be audibly shown this otherworldly place. And that's how I've always approached songwriting. And it usually takes the form of me plunking around on a riff or a chord pattern, and then taking it into the rehearsal space or our respective home recording studios or what have you, and just kind of seeing how we could capture that. And usually it's as simple as, you know, an acoustic guitar line or something like that, and then all the window dressing is added later. Sometimes it's based around the actual sound of the effect itself. Like for me, in my case, the chorus pedal is a really important tool. You know, as a fan of bands like, you know, the Cocteau Twins and Fields of the Nephilim and, you know, Breathless and all these Talk and all these post-punk bands, Chameleons, I always feel like there's this really blue, warm, you know, there's this blue, warm sounding place that is kind of evoked by a bit of reverb and a chorus pedal. So that's something that's probably always going to be part of my identity, for lack of a better term.
Fair. So it's like you're almost like writing a book.
Or I mean, yes, or even, you know, filming a movie of some kind. The music is by design very cinematic. Because I'm a huge film nerd, and a couple of members of the band are also likewise huge film nerds, and just sort of making it so that we can that movie is constantly playing on a loop in my head. And if I can match the soundtrack to, and it's always specific. An issue I have with a lot of recent post-rock, post-anything, post-black metal outfits is that I always feel the atmosphere is very general. I always feel, I think my friend Mark from Dawnwalker, whom I did a podcast interview with a few months back, he brought up the idea of just this vague landscape. And I really adding a specificity to it is something that really drives it home, which is which can be done through the music. It could be done more easily through the artwork and the lyrics.
Yeah.
Which is why I always feel that they should always serve one another in some form.
That makes sense. So Holly, I'll let you continue on now that I've blabbed so much.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm interested to know actually, like, do you have an overarching concept for all of your releases, or are they sort of self-contained?
I do. I mean, like, not insofar as they tell a story, but definitely there is a theme to each record. You know, in the case of All Is Phantom, the atmosphere is definitely a bit more verdant and a bit more on land. And whereas extended play for my Sweet Merry Time, rather, getting my own title wrong, is decidedly at sea. So that's always that. So at least I have like those things in mind when I'm writing. Never so much a full storyline necessarily. Although some people can glean that on their own. I used to do that to records I loved. I used to, in my head, I would listen to, you know, Ocean Machine, Devin Townsend, and I would just like, well, that isn't really a concept record. There is a through line, you know, from beginning to end, and I would kind of come up with my own story in my head as it as it played. So like, if that's what I can do too, then that would be a job well done on my part. But who knows?
Are they kind of like in the same universe then? So maybe not. If that kind of makes sense.
For my the two records released so far, yes, I would say I view extended play as sort of an expansion pack to All Is Phantom, maybe even a prequel. I still haven't really decided that, but I've always kind of viewed extended play as a continuation of the sound that we explored on All Is Phantom, because it is. And while I don't think any of the songs sound the same, they are similar in the respect that there's, you know, they're essentially pop songs with some heavy guitar on them. The vocals are largely cleanly sung the whole time. It's there, and also all of the songs are from that same 10 to 15 year bedrock of material that I've now exhausted entirely. So we can So we can finally close the book on that chapter and move on to something different. Which if new riffs are any indication, it will be very different indeed. So I'm very, very happy about that. But yeah.
Cool. Can I ask Holly, or you got?
You go ahead.
Okay, so this is good. I'm going off the topic of music for a few minutes because I've got like 10 minutes left. So I decided we would take a left turn here for a few minutes here. So, Alec, what is your favorite cartoon character? Who, rather, not what. Sorry.
Favorite cartoon character.
Favorite cartoon character, not cartoon, but character.
Randy Marsh.
Randy Marsh. Who the heck's
South
Randy?
Park.
Oh, South.
Stan's dad.
Yeah, no, I know. I got it after you said South Park. I was like, who the heck are you talking? Now, why? So why would he be your favorite cartoon character?
Because he's completely absurd. It's because he's every episode that centers firmly around Randy Marsh is always the funniest episode, generally.
Fair. Okay, I can deal with that. I'm going to ask Hall hers, and before I do my follow-up question.
I'm kind of toying between Sideshow Bob.
I like him.
Sideshow Bob's good.
Definitely up there. And have you seen Disenchantment? It's on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I have seen Disenchantment.
I love Lucy, the little demon.
Oh, you love Eric Andre?
Yeah.
Eric Andre's character.
So,
how about you, Curtis?
Me? You guys gonna ask me this? Daffy Duck.
Daffy Duck is a good one.
Daffy Duck.
Wait, would Muppets count, or are we just doing strictly animated?
Animated, because I wouldn't call that a cartoon, would you?
No, but yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, we won't go with that, because otherwise, if we had to do a Muppet, oh man. Okay, who's your favorite Muppet then? Since now you're asking.
He should be everyone's favorite Muppet.
Swedish Chef, dude.
Beaker, always Beaker.
I take Swedish Chef. Who do you take, Holly? You're probably too young for this, but let's hear
I
you.
like the drummer's called Animal, isn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go with Animal.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Alex, since now we're talking about Muppets for a brief second, and we aren't going back to music because we spent 15 minutes on music. It's now
now all bets are off.
All bets are off. So first question here is so which Muppet would you say is the most, how do I want to put this, personifies Ghostbound the most? Which Muppet is
that's a very good question. I would say that Stentorian eagle. What is his name?
I forget his name, but yes, I know who you're talking about.
But that very stern looking eagle, yes. Or Statler and Waldorf, you know.
I can see that.
Yeah, like I think Statler and Waldorf definitely personify me because of how critical I am of most things. but I would say that very stern, austere looking eagle.
His name is Sam. I just looked it up as you were talking.
Sam
Eagle is what it is.
Sam Eagle. Okay.
Sam Eagle. So Sam Eagle personifies Ghostbound. Now, just out of curiosity, before I move on, Holly, which Muppet would personify Disconnected Souls? Just out of curiosity, your band.
Oh God, I don't know. In some ways, I'm tempted to go for Animal again, just because he's very chaotic.
Are you
really?
And I feel like we're just sort of chaos.
He's the keyboardist. So who's the Muppet? The keyboardist. There was the piano playing. It was what the hell was it? Wasn't it the bear?
Maybe?
No.
Fozzie? Was it Fozzie?
No, it wasn't Fozzie. There was another one. It was a brown bear, wasn't it? No, what is he? Dog? I don't know. Now we're all gonna be.
I want to change my cartoon answer. I want to say Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian? Okay, yeah. That's your favorite?
Yeah, I forgot about Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian rules. Okay, so now back to a more serious question here. So now, have you been listening to much new music this last year or no?
Yeah, always. I'm obsessive when it comes to.
So I want to ask you this because you used to write for Decibel and stuff in the past. You've been around the block a few times.
Yep.
So now, how do I want to phrase this without it sounding weird? How do you kind of keep the want of listening to new music there when you used to do it like on a critical basis? Now you're not writing or anything like that, but how do you kind of like?
Well, it's for precisely that reason. It's because I do it strictly for the enjoyment of it, and because I'm very almost obsessively curious about everything that I'm into. It doesn't matter if it's film, literature, music, what have you. I'm always full bore trying to glean as much information as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. When it came to writing, because I wrote for Satan Stole My Teddy Bear for many, many years, and there was a webzine called The Hive that I wrote for about 5 years, my teen years. Mm-hmm. Getting promos sucked. That was the thing that people always thought would have been a cool part. At first, it was cool because I would befriend all of these labels at first, and that's sort of how I became friends with everybody at The End Records back in '99, 2000, and
yep.
And all and other labels as well. Project Records was another big one for me. Mm-hmm. And those were great. But then you would occasionally get these just this bargain bin, bad beyond description stuff that you were forced to listen to and you were forced to give your opinion on. And
yep.
And it got to a point where it kind of it didn't take the enjoyment out of music for me, but it did take the enjoyment of writing about music out of it for me. So once I stopped doing that, I found for a while I was just writing for the enjoyment of it. I was just writing things that I liked talking about, where I would scour people's discographies and do the whole review of the whole thing, or what have you. But no, I'm always I'm lucky enough to be able to work remotely. So I would say whenever I have a shift, I have 30 open Bandcamp tabs open at a given time. Same thing goes for Spotify. Someone tells me something is good, I will check it out. It doesn't really matter. I will check it out and just find out for myself. That kind of always been my rule. I'll never rule anything out.
Fair.
And until I discover that it sucks for myself.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Did you have a follow-up on that?
No.
Okay, well, we got time for about one more question, so you're in the spotlight there. You get to do the last question.
I'm intrigued to ask you about the music video that you did.
I'm happy to talk about that video because I feel like I specifically want to give the director of this video a shout out because he's one of my good friends dating back to high school. This music video was sort of like a 20-year collaboration in the making because we've been friends largely since 1999 or thereabouts.
Wow.
But yeah, we got back in contact with one another over the last few years. I had noticed on his Instagram that he had been posting a lot of 3D art that he'd been animating, and usually in these little spurts of like 4-second loops. And he had been asking if he's like, I want more practice at this. Does anybody, want me to take their music and put some visuals to it? And I kind of just sent him the link, and he wrote back to me. This was back when All His Phantom had just been released, and he wrote me back with like the most effusive, kind words about the album that I could have possibly heard. And we ended up just kind of getting back into each other's lives that way. And we eventually decided to collaborate on a video. And it would have been off of that record. There's a on our YouTube channel, there is a unfinished storyboard animatic for what would have been the music video for the song Roof and Wall, which is sort of...
You never released that? That's the song that you showed me before, wasn't it? Like 2 years ago?
It was...
Did you not? I think so.
We released it through... Well, we ended up releasing the storyboard animatic in its unfinished form.
That's right. Yeah. You threw me off because I was like, I was sure that came out. Okay.
Yeah, we did it through Keith.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, then of course life got in the way in his case while he was working on it. His house burned down, which is tragic.
Oh no, that sucks.
And so then we were like, okay, let's obviously put this on the back burner. Then as we were sitting on this kind of storyboard animatic, we decided, you know what, if this will help put eyes on his GoFundMe, let's go ahead and release it in its current form. So we did that, and then we ended up kind of deciding to reconvene 2 years later to see about to revisit some of the themes that were sort of explored in this original music video. We decided, let's flip the script, let's make it a bit more happy, because the song is very joyful by its design, and let's see what we can come up with. And on his own, he used this very new sort of 3D rotoscoping technology where he just had each of us film ourselves in our respective apartments against a neutral background, and then he just took us and kind of put us through some kind of fractal imagery and then superimposed us onto this sort of 3D animated raft that he made himself, and everything else was animated and done entirely by him. And it was so far beyond what we expected. We didn't I was expecting essentially a lyric music video that nothing particularly complex, but what we got was something just gorgeous and totally beyond our means of doing anything. So yeah, no, I have nothing but good things to say about Ryan and his work. I love the video. I love how it turns out. I love the attention it's getting. It also fits the song perfectly, which is another important thing. I wouldn't have gone for it if it didn't have this, if it wasn't at least thematically sound.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Holly, do you have any final question you want to ask Alec before we wrap up, because we're getting really low on time?
I think that's everything from me.
Alec, do you have a question you want to shoot to one of us as a final thing? You get be as goofy. Nothing.
Goofy question.
Yeah.
You didn't say. Did you say your favorite cartoon character? I don't think you did.
I did. Daffy Duck.
Daffy Duck. Shit.
Yeah.
Favorite release of 2021 so far?
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay.
I'll give you
Uh,
one if you guys are done.
Jesus Christ. I'm going to go with, well, there's two, but actually I'm going to go with either.
Ghostbound, Live for My Sweet Merry Time.
Hmm?
Sorry.
Well, I'm trying to think what I'm going to say without offending any client that I have, because this is a very careful question now that I have to do. So I think if I'm going to.
I mean, you don't have to. You won't offend me. I don't give a shit.
Well, well, I mean, this is a hard question to answer because this is my job, Alex. So if I don't say a client, I can get in trouble from a client.
You should specifically not say a client.
Yeah.
You're forced to like it. You have to.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. Well, I mean, I'm not forced, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I have to at least like it in order to work with it for sure. Okay. Now I'm blanking. Thanks, Alec. Thanks a lot. Thanks. You know what I really do like? I forgot the name. Just 1 second. It's on my playlist here, but there was one. It's not a new. I haven't heard the entire album yet, but I'm just trying to think what the name of the band is. I heard 2 songs by them that I thought were just excellent. And then there was another one that I just bought on Bandcamp. Just give me 1 second, Alec. Okay. The 2 new songs from Employed to Serve I really like. It's metalcore. I usually do not like metalcore, but I really, really like this.
I'll check them out. I don't like metalcore either, so I'll check them out.
This was one of the, I never used to, but it's weird. This band I really like. They put out 2 new songs. One of them was called Exist, and I forget what the name of the other one, Mark of the Grave, it looks like. They're both on Apple Music. I have not heard the full album yet, but I really, really liked it. And there's another one. I'm going to let Holly speak while I'm looking on my Bandcamp collection for the name of the band. 1 second. It's a death metal band. So Holly, you talk while I'm looking.
Okay, so not client, favorite release probably has to be a single called Circle With Me by Spirit Box, which is also metalcore. But
yeah, they seem that's the I Wrestled a Bear Once singer,
yes.
right? Yeah. I don't know them. I didn't listen. I couldn't stand I Wrestled a Bear Once, so I didn't bother checking it out. But
it's different.
Spirit Box is pretty good. She's like guesting with every musician.
She's doing a lot at the moment. Yeah.
I remember their former singer, I guess, is the ex-wife of one of my favorite singers, who is Darrow Sutterth from Fair to Midland.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
I believe they have a kid together, if I'm not mistaken. It's the history is murky, so I'm not really sure how accurate that is. But Fair to Midland were great. Do you have your record yet?
I do. I thought you were going to say something, so I was waiting for you to finish.
Oh yeah.
So, the name of it, I forgot the name of the band, but they're called Dungeon Serpent. They're a death metal band. Apparently, the name of the album is World of Sorrows. I bought it last week. I listened to it on Bandcamp. It was a random find, but it's called World of Sorrows by a band called Dungeon Serpent.
All right, it came right up.
Yeah, it's a death metal band. So if you're into death metal, you'll probably enjoy it. I really, really liked it. I found it by fluke. I think someone tweeted about it a few weeks ago, and then there was another one called by Fulci. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Fulci. Yeah. That's after Lucio Fulci. They're zombie film aficionados.
Yeah. That new one's really good from them too. And I forget what the name of it, but that one's.
Yeah, I saw it reviewed the other day. I can definitely check that one out.
I love that style.
I have two so far that have been really, 3 now as of today that have been really wowing me. The one that I've been listening to constantly is the new Lotlos.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah,
I think is just unbelievably good.
Yeah, I agree.
There's something so weird about the atmosphere on it. The drums are mixed in a really bizarre way. The guitar tone is really mostly clean, which is really unusual. I love everything about it. And then additionally, there was this obscure Australian band that someone on the Aluminum Guitars group on Facebook, I think it was one of the members of the band, brought to my attention. They're called Half Cut, and it's essentially I describe them as like a mathy version of the Sundays.
I think I've heard this band.
The Sundays are one of my all-time favorite bands ever. And but there's just, it has that same kind of innocent quality that you hear on the an old dream pop song, but there's something kind of a bit more proggy and mathy in the rhythms. And the last one, when I've only listened to it in full once, but I am going to set fire to all of my metal cred, and I'm just going to say the new Death Heaven record absolutely rules.
I won't even listen to it. I won't even push play on that. I'm sorry.
It's unbelievably good because it is completely a dream pop record. They've gone full Smiths. The vocals are entirely clean, and not only are they entirely clean, they're entirely well done. And I didn't expect it, did not expect it. I haven't liked the last two, but they completely flipped the script. I like that they're going to make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Sure.
I've always liked that about them. I like that, they make metalheads uncomfortable. I'm very keen on that. Whenever that happens, someone told me that the opening riff to "And We Are Already at Sea," the music video, upset them.
Really?
And I couldn't, because it's essentially a dissection riff in a major key, and they thought that you're not allowed to do that. You can't do that to a black metal riff. You can't make it happy. And the fact that they actually use the term "it upset them" brings me so much joy.
Fair.
Like I will die on that hill. Like that's the best thing I've ever heard.
Fair. I'm not going to press play on Death Heaven, but I might just because you said you didn't like the last two, so I might actually check it out.
It's fully like if you like Klimt's 1918 or even early Smiths, like it's like that. It's a shockingly good, surprising album.
I might check it out. If I hate it, I'm going to be bitching at you and message saying, "Why the fuck did you tell me to listen to this?" Hey,
it pays to be right.
Sometimes it does, but it could also be wrong. Could be wrong.
Pretty sure.
I mean, it's all subjective. It's all subjective. Yeah. Holly, what's your thoughts on Death Heaven before we end off? Just to get somebody mad at us. Do you like Death Heaven or do you hate Death Heaven?
I've not really listened to them, so I'm intrigued.
Good answer.
Oh, good answer. Yeah.
Good.
We'll start with the new one because it'll completely color your opinion about their other material.
And if I find out you're a Death Heaven fan, you get fired. That's the long and short of it. And Alec can hire you instead.
Okay, fine.
Cool. I'm kidding. You're not fired.
With my PR business.
Yeah, he's going to. Now that I've introduced you guys. So, Alec, do you have any final words you want to say before we end off?
No, I just I'm glad we were finally able to make this happen. I think this is a fun conversation. I'm very happy to be a part of this, this C squared endeavor. I'm very pleased with how everything went as far as that goes.
Cool.
Just thank you for the attention. That's really all I have to say. I'm grateful.
And I'm going to give one plug for your album. So you can buy it on vinyl at the band's Bandcamp, which is ghostbound.bandcamp.com, I think.
That is correct.
Cool. And if you haven't heard it, go buy it. I think it's like $20 on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
You order it direct from the band or you order it from the label. And the label name is?
Red Nebula. But yeah, it's all through us.
Oh, it is.
It's all through us at this point. Cool. Yeah, we're signed to Red Nebula, obviously. But yeah, if you buy the vinyl, it'll go. We have ways.
Cool. Awesome. So buy a copy of the vinyl and then also follow Ghostbound on Instagram or Facebook. And I think you're on Twitter too.
We're on Twitter. We're not as active on Twitter, but yeah, we do exist on Twitter.
Awesome. Okay, thanks again, Alec. And with that, we are ending.